everybody, and this week's Trials of Osiris has been spookified. It is very different to what we are used to, and I thought I would just do a video giving my thoughts and my experiences with it. I played a good amount on Friday, I played a good amount on Saturday, I've been flawless, so I think I have a good amount of knowledge to talk about how I have found the experience. So I will say that I don't love it, but I don't also hate it. I initially couldn't really tell if it was harder for my team or easier, but as I played more and more over the day on Friday and over the day on Saturday, I kind of started to get a better picture of how these changes have affected Trials. So for any of you that are not aware, what is going on in Trials of Osiris now is the map is Cauldron, first of all, and there is no radar. Radar has been totally taken out, and there's also no revives, plus there is a spooky spider that comes onto your screen every now and then. So those are the changes that I'm going to be talking about in this video. Now, some people have stated that this makes the skill gap wider. The better players are even better than the lesser skilled players. And I actually think the total opposite. I think that it closes the skill gap because usually everyone would know exactly where everyone is because of the radar. They could prepare for the gunfights, and the person who has the best thumb skill would win that primary gunfight because both players are very aware that there's someone coming to them, but it's going to be the person who has the greater thumb skill that ends up winning that engagement. With the radar removed, it's incredibly easy for someone to sneak up on another person or simply hide in the many cheese spots that are on this map. There are so many cheese spots. We came into contact with people sitting on top right near the ceiling. They were just chilling there. I found people like hiding behind a rock, just sitting in the corner. There's so many cheese spots, and the no radar enables people to really utilize those spots. Now, granted, this doesn't mean that the people who utilize movement, flanking, confusing the enemy team are bad. It's just a different skill set to pure thumb skill, and you can actually teach someone to go and flank behind someone a lot easier than you can improve their thumb skill. Thumb skill is something that you kind of either have or you don't have, and yes, you can practice to get better at thumb skill, but it's not really something that you can teach someone. If I'm playing with someone, for example, who is maybe not that good at the game, and I'm like, okay, you stay here, I'm going to go around and flank this person, or I'm going to stay here and engage in this gunfight, I want you to come from the bottom and shotgun them. That's a lot easier for that person to take that instruction and do well on this map rather than you're going to be in primary gunfights and you just got to be good. That's just my opinion though. Others, like I said, have the complete opposite view. They think that it makes the skill gap wider, but I'm going to say I do think that it bridges the skill gap and makes it a little bit easier for players who don't have the greatest thumb skill to actually do well in Trials. Now, I will say that the no revives thing is actually pretty interesting. I have no problem with no revives. If this was just no revives Trials and we had the spooky spider, I'd be like, cool. I think a lot of people would actually enjoy the no revives thing and they wouldn't have a problem with it. I think it's the coupling it with the no radar that has made a lot of people very frustrated. Now, going back to revives, I think it's super interesting, and I'd actually like to explore the no revives in Trials in general. What I think might be an even more interesting take, to take this even further when it comes to no revives, would be just to play around with how revives work in Trials of Osiris in general. So instead of being just no revives or all the revives, maybe we have a limited number of revives that we can use per round or per match. So that way you have to think, do I want to use this revive now or do I want to save it for later? Do I want to revive this person or do I want to revive this person? Now, I can see that this will cause some arguments because I'll die, for example. Me and Ian will both be dead. Patrick will be alive and he'll be like, I'm going to go res Ian. And then I'll be super duper sad because I'm clearly not valued as a member of the team. So it could definitely cause some arguments, but I do think that it would be pretty interesting just to have a limited number of revives that can be used maybe on each person. I don't know, just messing around with that I think would be pretty interesting. Now, going back to the pair together, no revives and no radar, I think I'm gonna go on the edge of it being a mistake. Now, I will say that I absolutely love the fact that Bungie has tried try to incorporate trials, or has incorporated trials, into the Festival of the Lost festivities. I was not expecting trials to really be different or be incorporated, or even PvP to really be incorporated. It's usually more of a PvE event. Maybe you go into PvP to do some stuff, but it's mostly PvE stuff that's more effective. So I wasn't expecting PvP to be affected at all, and I do really appreciate and really love the fact that Bungie did include trials. I think it is awesome. However, saying that, it's causing a lot of frustration for a lot of people, especially those that take people to the lighthouse, or they try and take people to the lighthouse. They seem to be having the hardest time with this particular change. And what I've seen so far with the reason for the frustration is the fact that Destiny is not really built to not have a radar. It wasn't created to be without radar. Radar is very important in Destiny. It's a huge part of the integral part of PvP, because there's no audible cues from moving around in Destiny. Yes, you can hear when someone like blinks or double jumps, but you can't hear someone running. So if someone decides to just run around and not jump, they want to keep their audible cues to a minimum, then they can run right next to you. They can be running around right behind you and you will not hear them. They do not have footsteps. There's no footsteps. And that's what's causing a lot of people to be frustrated, I think, because you can just get snuck up on by someone who's running around with a shotgun. They can shoot you in the back, and not only did you not know that they were coming because there's no radar and there's no footstep sounds, but now you have no revives and you're stuck there, and yeah. Now, of course, it is the person's fault. Again, I'm not saying that people who are doing well on this particular setup are bad and people who are struggling are just bad. I'm not saying anyone is bad. I'm just saying that I think these no revives and no radar coupled together is causing a lot of frustration for people. Now, when it comes to the radar, I think a good alternative to completely removing the radar would have been to make it a lot more limited, making it more spooky, and probably more difficult, because you could somewhat rely on your radar, but it would only be good for showing people that are immediately around you. I think that might be super interesting, but all of these changes, like adding a limit to revives and making the radar limited, these are things that take quite a lot of changing to the actual base game of Destiny, and I don't think that's what Bungie's trying to do. They're not trying to make a full-on event thing. They're just adding something to Trials to bring it into Festival of the Lost. So all of the changes that the community are talking about, I think they're great. I've heard some really amazing ideas that I think would work so good and would be amazing. But the problem is that it requires a lot of change, a lot of coding, a lot of probably breaking things to bring those things into the game. So they went with no radar, no revives, and added a spooky spider, and that is what we have in Trials. So all in all, I don't love or hate it. It's just a thing. I don't think that it's amazing. I don't think that it's super bad. I do see the frustrations from people, and I totally get it, because Friday was frustrating for my team. So what I would say, from my idea of how I would have preferred this event to be tackled, is for Bungie to definitely incorporate PvP into the event for sure, but not put it into main trials. I would have preferred that it would be something that you could opt in or opt out of. For example, they could have brought back something like Crimson Doubles, but make it super duper spooky. Tie the new emblem, Crucible shader, etc. to this game mode, and also increase the drop rates for that mode so you're more likely to get highlight items to incentivize people to actually keep playing it after they get the emblem and the shader. That way there's a cool new thing to do in PvP that ties into Festival of the Lost. You can keep it super lighthearted and fun, add even more crazy visuals and audio spooks than just the spider that crawls onto your screen, but making it an opt-in good time for everyone. I think the problem with this event that a lot of people are facing, and they can't figure out why they don't like it, or they're just frustrated, they don't know why. I think the problem comes with introducing this stuff into Trials. Trials of Osiris is the most competitive mode that we currently have in Destiny, and changing it around too much causes a lot of frustration from people, which takes away the point of this festival, all about being spooky fun. Again, these are just my opinions to make the experience fun for everyone. I know a lot of people have been having an absolute blast this week in Trials, and I love that. All of you people who are having a great time in Trials, I love it because it means that more people are playing, and I love that. I love that more people are playing. I want more people to play Trials and have fun with it, and this event has made it fun for them to go into Trials and play, and I love that. But I do think that it might have been better to make a separate PvP event rather than bringing it straight up into Trials, just because, again, it is causing some frustrations with people and they are having a very, very sad time. So thank you guys so much for watching. I would love to know your opinion in the comment section of how you are finding Trials, because I've only seen stuff on Twitter and from my friends, so I would love to see just more opinions of how you think Trials of Osiris is this week. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll speak to you awesome people later. Bye.